Hi everyone, this is Aluchi from the Cubby Cauldron. Today I'm going to be doing a little behind the scenes that went into the publication of my new book, Tasteful Hypocrisy. And in particular, what went into the publication of the ebook, of making that ebook, that reflowable EPUB, come to life. And this is something that took me a lot of trial and error. I watched some videos on YouTube, and they said a lot of things about making layers and just things that sounded more complicated that I did not want to go down into doing. And I was already working with InDesign. I did my paperback on InDesign, not the cover, but the meat of the book, the inside of the book. I did everything on InDesign. So I wanted to take that InDesign, already made InDesign document, and make it into a reflowable EPUB. That did not come easy. So I went to YouTube, looked into a couple tutorials, and their process just seemed more complicated. So I wanted to find an easier way to do this, especially since my book is a poetry collection. It's not like a big book that has chapters and chapters and chapters. And even those poems that had headings, they were just headings, they still weren't chapters. So I wanted to make it into a nice reflowable book, and I think I accomplished that. I had to make some concessions which I will show you as we go through this tutorial, but let's dive in. So I have my this is how I created a mock poetry collection in Word, and I tried to make it look how certain parts of my book looked, and some parts that posed a challenge. So this is how it looks. I have the fake, cover art name, and cover art designer name. I have fake table of contents, and I have just fake poems that I made up. They weren't anybody's poems that I copied off of the internet. No, I just scribbled. So this is just using to do this tutorial. Don't mind the wordings in here. No. So and I made it a very short um book. That way this tutorial doesn't take ages and ages. So I'm going to open my InDesign app. So these are all the documents that I already worked on. But right now I'm going to open, let me see. I'm going to create a new file. And let me see, what do I call it? I prefer to work in inches, not picas. Uh, uh, um, what do I call this? I'll call it mock poetry collection. How about that? Mock poetry collection. Okay. And I'm going to change the weight. This weight and height, this is the weight and height of a regular paper that you get off the printer. And I don't want it to be this width and height. Also, I'm going to leave it as I'm not going to make it into facing pages. Sorry, I'm not going to make it into landscape. I'm going to leave it as a portrait. And another thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to unclick these facing pages. I personally think it doesn't really matter, but when I was doing in fact, I'm going to leave it. And then when we get into I'll show you how I unclicked it and everything else. So, I'm going to change this. When I had my paperback, it was a 6 times 9. So I'm going to leave it as a 6 times 9. 6 times 9. Okay. Let's see. Pages. I can always add more pages. Okay. Let's see. Column. One column. I'm gonna make the column gutter more. I'm gonna add more. I'm gonna make it 0.375. Column gutter, that's like the hidden part. Like when you open a book, that inside part that's hidden, that's the gutter. Okay, and then the margins, I'm gonna make the top. Oh, if you unclick this, then it won't adjust everything as you adjust this. I'm gonna make the top and bottom 0.75, and then I'm gonna make the inside uh, 0.875, and the outside 0.875. How about that? Okay. I'm not really going to worry about the bleed and slug for this one. So yeah, I'm gonna go create. And this is how it looks. So I'm going to open up my pages panel, and I'll add more pages in a little bit, okay? Let's see. So I'm going to just, before I copy and paste everything, I'm going to go to, let me see how I do that. So I want to get this picture. So let me see if there's a way that I can, let me see, download. Okay, I'm going to copy and see what happens. I'm going to copy this picture first and see what happens. If I can't export it to my InDesign, then I'll try something else. But let me go and find the rectangle frame tool. This is what I'm going to use for the picture. So, okay. Oh, Command Z to undo that second frame, and then this to select it. And then I'm going to go to File and go to Place. Yeah, it's not gonna let me. Let me see if I can paste something. Yeah, I can't paste that picture. Okay, let me find a way to download it. Or if I can find a way to download it, then I'll take. You know what? I'm just gonna find a picture from my regular pictures. Okay. Place. Let's go to my computer and try to find. So this is just a photo of a sunset. So I'm gonna use it, but to make the whole photo be inside this frame, I'm going to go to fitting and fit frame. No, fit content to frame. So this is how it looks, right? Okay. And then I want to add a text box, because this is where I write the name of the book. And what is the name of the book again? Mock Portrait Collection. And I want it to be by the Bard. Okay. Okay. Mock Portrait Collection. Mock Portrait Collection, right? And I'm gonna make it I'm gonna bring it to center. Okay. Okay, and then I'm gonna make another one. The bard. The actually bard. Okay, bring that to the middle, and just so I can create that space, select, make that a little bit. Okay, right bard, move it in somewhere in the middle. Okay, let's see if I can align. No, I want to align this. Okay. I don't know if I'm aligning it correctly, but let's see. Okay, just in the middle there. In the middle there. And then I'm gonna duplicate this. Mm, I'm gonna make let's see, should I duplicate this or not? Or should I make it? Mm, okay. Okay. And then I'm gonna move that. So I'm trying to replicate, so somewhat replicate how I did what my book looks like, right? Let me see. The distance is not really distancing right there. Okay. So this is somewhat similar to what the top of my book looks like. And I'm going to rotate that. Right. Okay. So make it look like that. Okay, so I'm going to add, this is where I create a new page. I'm going to add another page, and add another page, and add another page, and add another page. Okay. And then I'm going to import everything else. So, okay, now that I did that, um, copy and paste. It doesn't really matter if you make it all the way to the top or if you drag it, at least for my book. There are certain books where it might matter, but this is for a portrait collection. So I did that one. And then I'm gonna see. And then this table of contents I already know what my table of contents is going to be, but I'm not going to copy this one because I'm going to create it from the InDesign, what do you call it? I'm going to create it from InDesign. So I'm just going to copy all my poems, everything, including the, you know what? You can do it this way, or you can copy it one by one. So I'm going to copy it one by one, but if it's a long poem, then I'll copy it all at the same time. Whether you do it this way or you don't do it this way, the only thing is that it will link the text boxes, right? So I'm going to copy biology, okay, and paste it in InDesign. I've noticed that when doing the reflowable EPUB, it really doesn't matter if you leave a space like a whole page or not. But I'm going to go straight into the. I'm going to leave that one page and go straight into this. I remember I created the paperback first before I created the ebook, right? So let's do this. Pathology is here. And one thing about InDesign is it won't really, you will hardly see the thing that you see in Word. You know, the thing that tells you the spelling is wrong. There might be a way to turn on spell check on InDesign, but right now that is not what I'm doing. I do all my spell check in Microsoft Word, all my editing, everything there, and then I move it to InDesign. I still do some editing in InDesign, but that's after when I cross check everything. But the heavy editing is already done before I move things to InDesign. So this is the way I prefer to do it. Okay. So that's one poem, and then I'm gonna move the next poem here. Barred behavior. Okay. I'm just gonna make everything look like that. And then I'm gonna add another page, and another page, and another page. Okay, so barred behavior. Okay, barred attitude. Barred attitude. Bad behavior, bad attitude. Okay. Many times this if you have an indent in Word, if you copy and paste, many times it doesn't go automatically how you want it to go from Word into InDesign. So I will take care of doing that indent later. Okay, I'm gonna take barred away, barred away, barred away, barred away. Okay, okay, barred away, and Bard returns. The bard has returned. The bard has returned. Do, 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 do. Okay. Okay. Bard returns. Okay. I like how this is. So I am gonna create a new page, and I'm gonna take what's left from here. You see how I clicked it? Then I'm gonna put it here. Now these two text boxes are linked. So if you want to see, let me show you. So I'm going to delete this space, and you see how the space actually here, and you see how it reflows into here. So you see, and if I get rid of this space, you see how it's gonna go in there. Okay, just wanted to let you see that. Okay. Now, there's a way that if two boxes are linked together, there's a way that you can link them. But the easiest way is opening another page. The easiest way is adding another page, or and then taking the leftover from that box and pasting it in there. Okay. So I am going to do some basic edits before I show you how I exported this reflowable EPUB. So it's stuck in book. I don't really think that makes much of a difference, but I'm just going to change it to digital publishing and just have it like that. Okay, so that's changed. And now I'm going to work on my paragraph styles and also my character styles. But let's do the paragraph style first. So my basic paragraph, I'm going to edit. Let's see, what do I want? Right now is a medium pro, and I want it to be, let's see, let me see. I think I want it to be. Hmm. Okay, I'm gonna choose Palatina. Or no, let's do Garamond. Okay, I'm gonna do Garamond. Mhm. Garamond. Let's see, Garamond. Gara. You know what? Let's do Palatina. So Palatino, since it's already there. Okay, I'm gonna make my size. I'm gonna make the size 13, and then I'm gonna make the leading 16. Okay, indents and spacing. I like the indents and spacing how it is. I'm just gonna say okay. So it's gonna apply Palatino to everything. Okay, I'm gonna create a new one. I'm gonna call it book title. Book title. So go to basic character formats. Gonna make it 19 or 20. Let's do 20. Make the leading oops. 25, just indents and spacing, and okay. So I'm gonna take this particular one, or I'm gonna select it, actually select the whole, select it and call it book title. It's gonna look a little bigger, so I'm gonna extend it a little bit. Ooh, looks like that was too much for it. Okay, I'm gonna edit that book title and make it size 18 and 23. Okay, get something smaller. Actually, no, cancel. How about I extend it a little bit and make it that big, and then also I'm gonna make this, bring it to the middle. Okay, mock portrait collection. And then remember, all our basic paragraph is set to indent left. So since many of the styles are based on the basic paragraph, if we don't edit that style, it's gonna indent. Let's edit the indent here and make it center. Okay. And I'm gonna create another style. All right. This time around, I'm gonna edit it and also make it center. Indents and spacing. Let's make it good center. Okay. And call it book author name. Author name, basic paragraph. I'm gonna make it italics and make it a 16 and make this a 20, 21, 20. Okay. And we're gonna select you and call you author name. Okay. Crap. Come on. Okay. We'll see how all this looks when we export it. So, basic paragraph, I'm going to go back to that basic paragraph. I'm going to edit it and I'm going to make indents and spacing. You know what? I'm going to leave it. Okay, I'm going to leave that. And I'm going to go to the poems, right? Okay, so the poems, I'm going to create poem body, and so is it Palatino, is it regular? I'm gonna just leave the poem body to be the size of the basic paragraph, but what I'm gonna do is go to indent and spacing and make a space before and a space after. So space before the poem, I'm gonna make just a little bit. poem, and I'm going to leave the poem to align left. Okay. And see, actually, basic paragraph. Let me. Okay, space before. And then, oh, poem body, poem body, poem body, poem body. Oh, wow. I did poem body. Let's go back. Oops, I'm going to leave it actually. I'm going to remove that space after. It makes it look very weird. Okay. So, poem body, poem body, poem body. Actually, I'm not gonna, this one I'm gonna do I'm gonna leave as basic paragraph. Basic paragraph, okay. So I'm gonna create another one. I'm gonna call it a poem title. Poem title. So poem title. I'm gonna go to this time around. I'm gonna make it bold, and I'm gonna make it 16 and 20. Okay, poem title. So poem title. Oops. Poem title. Okay. I'll show you what I'm doing in a little bit. By the way. Okay, poem title. Poem title. Okay, I'm gonna select this and make a basic paragraph. Okay, so for poem title, I'm gonna duplicate this style and call it chapter title. Say okay, and chapter title I'm gonna call acknowledgements and notes and about the poet. Acknowledgements, notes, see. And also, chapter title, I'm going to edit and make it to the center. So paragraph, oops, and then spacing, alignment, center. And, oh, and with that, I'm going to make space after. I'm going to make some space after that chapter title. So you see how now there's a space between that and the actual words. I'm gonna even make that space bigger. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna leave that. And for poem title, I'm gonna edit it and I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna leave it indented to the left, but I will add space after. Okay. See that? Okay. Oh, and remember over here, there was a place that had a left indent. There was a poem that had a left indent. Let's find it. So the bird smiled when she remembered she has done the great work. I think that's the only one that has the indents to the left. So let's go to she had done a great work. Now I'm going to indent this. So I'll go to this and I'll go 0.25. I'm going to make 0.25 our indents. See how we added to the poem body, but I'm not going to make that everything for this poem body. If I wanted all the poem body to indent to 0.25, I would have gone to edit poem body and gone to indent spacing and then made the left indent to be 0.25. Okay. Okay, so looks like everything looks fine. So right now, before we start exporting to, actually I'm going to export it and show you what it looks like in Reflowable Epub, just like this, nothing done, okay? So file, export, and I'm going to export it as that, and then I'm going to export it to, well, I'm going to open it in my book app, in my book app, but I'm going to export it as a Reflowable Epub. I'm going to save, and then I did the order is based on page layout. I'm gonna split the document and see what it looks like. This is just basic, right? So okay, and it's gonna open it up. And this is how it looks. This is how it looks. Everything is all jump packed together, right? And even if we go to here, it's just mock poetry collection one. There's nothing. Okay, I'm gonna delete this. Don't mind these romance books. I was very young when I was reading those books. Okay, right now we're going to make sure that this thing exports wonderfully. So what are we going to do? We are going to group certain things, right? So let me see if I remember how to do this. See, right, and object. See, I selected the whole object, and I'm gonna go to object export options, and wait, before I do that, actually, I'm gonna go to object. I want ahead of myself there. I was gonna group it. How did I group it the last time? Group. Group. It's all grouped together. And I'm gonna click this same object, right? And go to object export options. Find object export options. I'm gonna call this the, what should I call it? cover title. Yes, I'm going to call it the cover title. And I'm going to say rasterize container. Rasterize container, I think. Custom layout. I'm going to click that and make it to be aligned center. And then I'm going to insert page break. I'm going to insert page break before and after the object. So that way, let me see if I still have that. So that way it's not looking like this, or everything all mushed together. That way this um this space for what do you call it? Copyright is not mushed together with the um object, like with the object, right? Okay, so okay, let's go out of there. So what was I doing again? Okay, objects, I selected that object. Okay, so I already did that, and I'm gonna insert page break before and after image. This is important. And then I'm just gonna say done. We'll see how it looks when we export it. So I'm gonna head to this, the copyright page. But before I do anything, I'm gonna go between these. See how it never inserted spaces. So I'm gonna go to type and insert white space, and I'm gonna insert a non-breaking space. And also here I'm gonna go to type and insert non-breaking space. Okay, so I'm gonna select this whole thing and go to object and go to object export options. I'm going, and see how I have EPUB and HTML clicked. So I'm going to call this the copyright. Where is it? Where is it? There's a space here for copyright page. I'm gonna call it the copyright page, and I'm gonna leave it there. And I'm gonna insert page break before and after, actually. That way when it exports, there'll be space. I mean, I already inserted page break after this, but I'm going to insert page break before and after this as well. But before I go further, I actually forgot my table of contents. So let me go make table of contents. I'm going to make it a just default, really. And then the style I'm going to use for this table of content is I'm going to use the chapter title as the style. And then the things I'm going to include in this table of contents, I'm going to include, let's see. Okay, I'm going to include chapter title, add, poem title, add. There is the poem title, add. So this is just the basic. There are people that make that want you to be able to click, the cover title and the copyright page and all that. But I just wanted to send you straight to the first poem. That's exactly what I want on my table of contents. So I'm gonna make entry style, same style really. So page number, I'm gonna make after entry. And I'm going to make source anchor to, before I export it, I'm going to come back and make text anchor to source paragraph before I export it. But let me see how it looks now. And it's already made, so I'm just going to put it here. And See how it looks? So I'm going to go back to that table of contents. Table of contents, and the make the numbers go all the way to the end. Page number is after entry. And let me see, between entry and number, I'm gonna insert, I think it's non-breaking space. I think that's what it is. Let's try. Is it? Okay, no. 5. Table of contents. Oops. Table of contents. I don't want any of this. Wait. Between entry and number, I just want to put, I'm gonna try this. Go, okay. So this is how it looks. I don't like this one either. Let's see, which one should I try? Okay, I'm gonna do just a non-breaking space. I'm just gonna leave this right now and go to object export options, still in the EPUB and HTML, and I'm gonna do talk. Call it talk. I'm gonna leave it at default. There's not much in there. Custom, right? Insert page break. I'm gonna do before and after and do okay. So now we're in the meat and potatoes of it, right? So anytime you want a space to appear in the poem, so for example, let's look at this birdology, right? Now we're going to look at the whole poem and see how it looks in books. So see how birdology looks. I don't want it to look like this. I want it to have that space, right? That space between the body is the fire in your heart, and then the body is the only one for you. That right? So I'm gonna insert that space here. So anytime you want it to have that space, all you have to do is click in where you want that to have that space and go to insert white space. And I usually do non-breaking space. So that will have, that space will be there, right? And I'm gonna insert, so I'm gonna leave this one. This one I like how it is. This one, I'm gonna insert that same non-breaking space again. So non-breaking space, same thing here. Non-breaking space. This one is fine as is. This one is fine as is. This one, I'm gonna insert a couple non-breaking spaces. Also, I will, let's see. So if I want a poem to not look, let's see, insert white space. So non-breaking space. This one, let's move it up a little. and insert non-breaking space. You'll see how this looks when I export it. Non-breaking space and export non-breaking space. Um, so this barred returns, let's see how it looks in here. So barred returns, see how it looks, right? And if I want barred returns, if I want this, so if it's one of those poems that will look really weird, there's a little bit of it, if there's a little bit of, if it's on a page, and it will look weird if there is a lot of the poems on one page and then just a little bit of that stanza, of that last stanza on the next page. So let's say if this was all one stanza, if from here all the way to here was all one stanza, and if as a long poem it's gonna be um part of that stanza is gonna live on a different page, I would just insert page break. I'll insert page break, let's see, page break, and make that page break. And when I insert that page break, it will export when I export it. That way, everything under that next stanza will live on the next page instead of it cutting off in a really weird way, right? So this is a short poem. It's not really gonna affect this. And I really don't have a long poem that has that to show you guys. I am sorry. But yeah, I already did everything I wanted to do in that regard. So before we export everything, I'm gonna show you a cool trick I learned from a particular YouTube video. I will link it in this tutorial, but I'm going to open up that paragraph styles, right? And then I'm going to go to this three button thing here. And then I'm going to go to edit or export tags. So when I click it, it's going to tell me, I'm going to tell it where to split the EPUB, right? So instead of it looking this way, like all the poems coming, see how acknowledgements, notes, acknowledgement, everything is on one page and everything is all mushed together. So instead of going, and even when I insert page break, it's not going to look the best really. So to make this all look nice, I'm going to go to split EPUB in poem title. So which means every new, if it goes to a new title of poem, it will start on a different page. It's not going to just start in that little page, right? And then I also do for chapter title. That way the chapter acknowledgements and everything start on a different page. So, and I make sure that EPUB and HTML is checked. And that is under paragraph styles. And then when you click that three button, it will open and it will show edit all. Let me actually show you again. So that is under paragraph styles. Click the tray button, go to edit or export tags, and you select where you want the EPUB to split. Okay, so I did that. There was something I did in my portrait collection for the ebook that I'm gonna do here. uh, I'm gonna add another page. It's just okay, after it, and just put in a text box that says the end. The end. Okay. So for the end, I'm going to call it I'm going to use the book title. Should I use a chapter? I'm going to use the book title to make it look final, right? So I'm going to select the end and go to object and go to object export options. And let me see what I want to call it. Mm. I'm going to call it back matter, or call it, or another thing I can call it actually is rear notes. Okay, so, oh, and I'm gonna make, gonna make it ahead of myself. I'm gonna make it go to the middle. Well, first of all, I'm gonna do rasterize container. That way it can either shrink or make it bigger. And you always want to leave the quality as high and the resolution as high as you can. I didn't go to maximum, but make sure that, oops, how did that happen? Make sure the quality is high. So especially for images. So custom layout, I'm gonna make that the end to be in the middle. And then I'm gonna insert page break before and after the image. That way there is, actually, I'm going to insert it after. Does it really matter? I can't remember how I did it in my ebook, but we're going to see how it looks. Actually, let me remove that page break. Export options. Um, Page break. I'll leave it. I'll leave it, see how it looks. Okay, so we're ready to export, right? So before we export, I'm gonna go to type, I'm gonna go to layout and go to our table of contents. And in the table of contents, I'm gonna make text anchor to source paragraph. That way, the table of, when we go to click here, where is it again? That way, when we go to the book and open it, and when we go here, it doesn't just say poetry collection. It will anchor the source to paragraph. It will give us the number of pages or where that particular page is. And not just that, it will also, if you click that page, I'll show you. If you click that page, it will directly go to um, the page you want. Okay, let me, page number, after entry. Okay, I want the page number to be after entry, but for the ones that I use the chapter title for, I just want no page number. So for the acknowledgement, for the notes, um, I don't want any page number. Before I used to put a page number in it, but then the editor that looked over my book said it wasn't necessary. So I stopped doing it. I took the advice. I stopped doing it. Okay. Table of contents have been updated. And if you go to my table of contents now, you'll see how it has all these and acknowledgements about the poet. Everything is in the middle. But I'm gonna go back to that table of contents. I don't want that to be in the middle. So um chapter title. So I'm using no page number. I'm gonna use table of content body text as the entry style. Okay. uh, Actually, you know what? Let me do this. Let me give the table of content. Oh yeah, okay, there's that. Okay, let me edit the table of content body text and let's see what I did for chapter title. Edit chapter title. So chapter title, I use 1620 and indent was 0.1875. Okay. Table of contents. Oh, oh wow. Palatino 16. I don't know what happened and how that got 20 and 0.175. Okay. We, my friends, are good to go. So actually, hmm, table of content body text, duplicate style, table of contents, table of content title. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna make them both bold. Bold. But this time around, this one I'm gonna make align center. Title, I'm gonna make it align center. And then text, I'm gonna edit and make it align. Oh, oops. Make it platinum bold. I want them all to be bold. Okay, so this is all done. And I'm gonna go back to my layout, to my table of contents. And table of content style. Title is content. Style will be table of content title. That way it will go straight to the middle, right? And then styles included in the table of contents. I'll use the table of content body text. And also for the chapter title, table of content body text. Okay. So see how everything looks. So now, my friends, we are gonna export, and you can choose whichever you want. If you want whatever any of these options are, you can choose them. The option I want right now is the if EPUB Reflowable. That's what I want. So I'm gonna call this Mock Portrait Collection 2. That way it doesn't replace that other one. So I'm gonna say save, and then it will open this page. So table of content, I want multi-level table of content style. So I'll just leave it as default. So I'm not gonna select the single paragraph style because there's multiple paragraph styles. And let me see. Yeah, it looks like everything is going well. I'm not really gonna select any of these other things because I already selected my object export settings, and I've also selected my poem title and chapter title export settings. So I'm gonna click OK, and now the new book is here. So let's see. Ooh, okay. Let's go to, ooh. We'll see how that looks. If you, depending on the kind of picture you have, um, it will not look like this, and you can always modify it to remove these white things. That way it's not showing. I think this happened because I said rasterize container. Okay, I'll go back and try not to rasterize container and see how it looks. So let's, before that, let's look at this, see how it has contents, methodology, bad behavior, that. And if you click on bad behavior, it will take you to bad behavior. And not just that, if you go back to your table of contents and you click on badology or you click on bad returns, see? Okay, another thing, see how this is much better than the previous one? See how there is space between that bad is your fire is the fire in your heart. See? And see how there is space. It kept that space, see? Okay. Acknowledgements about the poet all in different places, right? And then the end. Okay. So I'm gonna go back and show you one, and let's try something else. So let's click on that object. So whenever you click, select and click on it, it will select the whole object. Let's go back to object explore export options and see why it's doing that. So JPEG. So instead of rasterized container, let's choose default and see what it looks like. It's just that the default might become a very big image. That way it's not reshaping it um to fit the page you're reading it on. But let's do that, the default, right? Okay, do that. And then another thing I'm going to show you is I'm gonna pick this come around again and Command C, copy it, right? And then Command V, paste it. So this come around again, I've noticed that I haven't really figured out a way to make it stick unless you, at least in this simple way, if you go to the other way where you the other way that the other people have on YouTube, where you create the book panel and you export and import everything one by one from Word, maybe you might be able to achieve it. But just this regular way, I haven't found a way to make something like justifying these lines stick. So I'm gonna when I export this, you will see what I mean. So I tried it this first way. I tried to justify these lines, right? And then you will see. I'm gonna duplicate this again. I'm gonna make another one. You see what happened. Okay, so this one, I'm just gonna put a space in between, just a space really, in between. So I tried everything to see if I can do this right. Everything to see if I can do this right. And it didn't work. So first one was justified. Second one, I put spaces in between. Third one, I'm going to insert just insert an M space, right? Insert M space. So watch what's gonna happen when I export these three things. And this is one of the concessions I had to make for the ebook version. Oh, okay. This is one of the concessions I had to make for the ebook version. I'm an Igbo girl, right? So there were some words in my book that had there were Igbo words that I put in that required the Igbo accents on them. So Palatino, Palatino can accommodate for that. So I was able to do that with my ebook, right? But the font I used for my print book, watch what's gonna happen when I try to make that particular one into that font. So I'm gonna choose Sabon. So just See how it's like a question mark? It won't work. So that one I was able to get with my ebook, making this. What just happened? I don't know what just happened. What in the world? Okay. Anyways, it didn't work for 7. So, but it will export correctly in Palatino for the ebook, and it actually shows in Palatino. So I was able to for the print book, I was able to get these. I was able to get these three to be to have this space between them. I was able to justify these lines. But for my ebook, I was not able to. And that was because I did not really know how to do that. I don't even know if there's a way to do that with this particular way I was doing it. I don't know. If you know of a way, please write me in the comments. And but then another a concession I had to make for the print book, but it worked in the ebook, was font wise. Some of those words that have accents in the Igbo language work for Palatino. So I can export this correctly for Palatino, but for Sabo Next, when like for my ebook, for Sabo Next, there's another um font. There's a couple more fonts I tried when I was doing my print book. I wasn't able to export. I wasn't able to get those to even work in that typeface. So, anyways, I'm going to export this so that you can see. These are just extra things I added. So I'm just gonna call it play. Play. Okay, so everything's still the same. And click OK. I'm gonna leave this. It's already okay. Let's go back. Remember, we left that as default. So look at how it looks as default. Now, if I keep, doing this, instead of, remember the previous one we chose was rasterizing container. With that one, it had like the white splotches, like that showed that it was a grouped object, and then it rasterized the container to fit the size, right? Whereas this one, see, I go to escape. Whereas this one, since we chose it as a default, a concession that we might have to make would be maybe reducing the size, the font size, and re-exporting it to see how it looks. So, see, everything looks nice, nice. Okay, see how what I was telling you, right? This was a concession I had to make on the ebook. It worked fine in the print book, having that a justified line. But here, no matter what I did, remember this was the justified line. This was the line that I added that I spaced out regularly, and then this was the one I added in space, and they all came out to look like this. And I remember how I told you that this was the other concession I made when I was doing it. Worked fine in ebook, those Igbo words that need accents on them. Whereas in the font, in the typeface I used for my print book, I can't really remember. I tried a couple typefaces that I liked, and I was pretty bummed that it did not work out. I can't remember which one. I have to check to see which typeface I used for my ebook, for my print book. But this is how this did not work correctly in the print book, but it worked fine in the ebook. And yes, my dear ladies and gentlemen, we are at the end of this tutorial. I know it was a long one and I know I talked for forever, but I am really glad to bring you this little behind the scenes. And thank you so much for just staying with me through it. Okay? Thank you. I love you. Mwah, 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 mwah.